What's up, everybody? It's John here from VidGamiac.com. Here we are today back in the Dead by Daylight Halloween DLC, going for the Evil Incarnate achievement. This is to get a quad kill using the Shape's Evil Within Tier 3 ability. This one is going to be done from the killer side. You're going to have to play as the Shape for this, aka Michael Myers. So either get him from the DLC pack or from the in-game shop. Nonetheless, you are going to have to level him up quite a bit for this. You're going to need bare minimum these two very specific ultra rare items that are going to start appearing in his blood web in about the low 30s or so. First item you are going to need is going to be Judith's Tombstone. This one is going to allow you to insta-kill any survivors once you reach Evil Within Tier 3. And the second item you are going to need is going to be the Fragrant Tuft of Hair. This one is going to give you unlimited Evil Within Tier 3 once you do reach it. These two items are going to come with the cost of needing triple the amount of stock to get from Evil Within 2 to Evil Within 3, so make sure you do keep that in mind. And because these are both ultra rare items, you may want to use a black ward in order to keep them at the end of the game, or have multiple copies of both. As for your perks, feel free to use whatever you want. However, this is going to be my setup that I used to get this achievement. Anything that increases your movement speed is recommended, so I recommend play with your food and no one escapes death, which is going to be very useful if the game does go long. You are also going to want anything that helps you find survivors. Highly recommend Nurse's Calling, which is going to help out a bunch in the late game, especially when finding hurt survivors, and anything that will slow the survivors down on the generators. So I happen to use Fearmonger for this, but again, just make sure you use whatever you have that is available to you currently. So start up the game, and your goal for the beginning is to just fill up your Evil Within meter all the way up to Tier 3. So just make sure you try to find your first survivor. Hopefully you are playing on an outdoorsy map or a map that has a main center area with a high ground so you can stand on top of it. Nonetheless, just make sure you find a survivor right away and make sure you start holding down that stock button in order to start filling up your Evil Within meter. So remember the few quirks that come with this. The closer you are to someone, the faster the stock meter is going to fill up. You can fit multiple people in your FOV, and you can get it done quicker that way. Because we need triple the amount of stock in order to get from Tier 2 to Tier 3, we are going to need to take advantage of all 4 survivors in order to fill out our meter all the way. Remember, every survivor is going to have a finite amount of stock available on them. So what you want to do basically is you want to make sure you spread your stock around the best you can. And if you notice someone turn red, that means they are going to not have any more stock available on them. So it's best to move on to the next person. Also, in this early part of the game, it's very important that you remember to try to keep the game going as long as possible. And the best way to do that is to try to keep the other survivors off of the generators. A good way to do that is once you have the majority of stock done on one survivor, what you can do is you can down them. Make sure you bring them to a hook that is out in the open. Then back away from the hook so you're not camping them, and hopefully their teammates are going to be altruistic enough to try to go in for the rescue. As they are trying to make the rescue, that's basically going to put them out in the open, so feel free to get the stock while everyone is all clustered up. Also, try to take advantage of anyone who is working on a generator that is out in the open. You can stand a reasonable distance away and then fill up your stock, as they won't be moving because they are going to try to fix the generator. If they do notice you, they're going to try to move to a different spot on the generator in order to hide behind it. And you can use this to pressure them. Basically, inch your way forward and then make sure you build up your stock slowly as they are getting on and off the generator. Once you get close enough, make sure you just kick the generator, and that should slow it down, and that should also put us super close to the survivor, allowing you either to land some hits in or quickly build up some easy stock with someone this close. So combine these two strategies, and you should be able to grab a ton of easy stock on these super easy targets. Also, a reminder that once you have built up enough stock on one particular survivor, never downplay the opportunity to either hurt, down, or hook them. And of course, the reason for that is you put pressure on them to try to heal or have a survivor come in and try to help them by either healing them or unhooking them. Very useful in this early game, and it also helps stall the game out and brings people out of hiding so you can build up more stock. While you are waiting for them to come out, remember to be persistent on any nearby generators. Make sure you try to kick them, and then that should further stall the game. We want to make sure we have the game go as long as possible, and that's going to be very difficult in a situation where we can't whittle down the number of survivors. So make sure you are very persistent on your patrols moving in and out of generator spots. During any encounters with multiple survivors, remember to prioritize your focus on anyone who you have the least amount of stock built on. So anyone who is going to be further from glowing red, you want to make sure you try to go after them. And while you are on your mini chases and generator patrols, remember to keep an eye out on any bait spots that you have set up. So any survivors that you have downed or anyone you placed on a hook, because people will come in to try to either pick them up or pull them from off a hook, and you can grab some easy stock like this, especially if the hook is out in the open. Once you finally hit Evil Within at Tier 3, your ability is going to kick in. Your movement speed should increase dramatically, and also you have the ability to insta-kill any survivor. So to get the achievement, you need to make sure you insta-kill all 4 survivors. So to do that, what you want to do basically is you want to make sure you go up to a survivor, and then you will have the option to kill them by holding the attack button. You want to be very careful during this. You want to make sure you hold the button. If you just tap the button, you're just going to stab your knife, which is just going to down them. You have to hold it in order to perform the execution, and that's what's going to count towards the achievement. So because we can now start whittling down the amount of opposition, the game should start snowballing in our favor. Keep in mind you do have to still keep up on patrolling the generators depending on how late in the game it is. Hopefully there are still enough generators left over on the board so the game can keep going and that you have enough time to get the rest of the kills you need. Other than that, you want to make sure you just keep up on your aggressive generator patrol. Make sure you are kicking the generators so you stall them. And if you do spot someone, make sure you try to go for the chase. Always remember to be very careful with that attack button, though. Make sure you are holding it and make sure you have enough space to actually get the kill. Otherwise, you will just down them. If you do down someone, though, it's not going to be entirely a lost cause. The reason for that is more likely than not someone is going to try to come in to try to pick them up. So if you do down someone, make sure you back off from them and then wait for someone to come in and try to get the rescue. This is where Nurse's Calling is going to really come in handy. The reason for that is you are able to see anyone who is trying to heal from behind cover. So that way you can get the jump on them and then snag an easy kill as they are off guard. Once you are down to the last 2 survivors, what's generally going to happen is you're going to have one survivor who's going to be focused on the objective of fixing the generators, and you are going to have the other person who is going to try to bait you away from the generators. So make sure you don't take the bait, and you want to make sure you press your chases, chasing these people towards the generators that are left on the board. A good counter to these people who are trying to pull you away from the generators is to basically down them. What's going to happen is the person working the objectives is going to take their attention off of the generators and come in to try to heal them. And again, having Nurse's Calling as a perk is going to be super helpful in these situations because you are able to see anyone who's trying to heal behind cover. So make sure you take advantage of this and make sure you catch the person off guard and then make sure you get the quick and easy kill. That should leave us with one person left, and this is going to be the most difficult part of the achievement for a myriad of reasons. The first reason is if you accidentally down the last person instead of executing them, say you accidentally tap the attack button instead of holding it, you cannot use the Evil Within Tier 3 ability on a grounded survivor. They have to be standing, so you are not allowed to kill someone who is downed. They have to be on their feet in order for the kill to count. Also, what's going to happen when you are down to one survivor is the hatch is going to appear. So the first thing you want to prioritize once you are down to the last person, if they are not within your immediate reach, you want to make sure you try to look for the hatch and shut it right away. This is going to cause the end game timer, and then what's going to happen is you are going to do that little shuffle between the 2 exit gates. Hopefully you are playing on a map where the 2 exit gates are close to one another, and hopefully you are able to find the survivor before they get one of the gates open. And it's going to be right here where I would like to include this little side note, which contains the last reason in why this achievement is so difficult. And that is because it requires the survivors that you are playing against have some form of basic human decency. What's going to happen more likely than not is you're going to encounter a last survivor who is going to disconnect as you are executing them. And that will not count towards the achievement because you have to get a kill, and a disconnect is not going to count as a kill in this situation. And the other scenario is once you are down to the last person, what's going to happen is they are going to end up hiding in a locker. And because you can't pull someone out of a locker and then have them be on their feet, you are not going to be able to execute them using the ability. So if you ever find yourself encountering these examples of the bastion of goodness that is the Dead by Daylight community, just know that you will not be able to get the achievement this way. Side note over, and back to our last kill. So if you happen to kill the last person using the ability and they happen to not pull anything, you should be good for the quad kill using the ability. You should get the 4 skulls, and then that should end the game. Your achievement should unlock once you get to the results screen. This is definitely going to be one of the harder achievements in the game, so best of luck to you. There it is. It's going to be for 20 gamer score, and that's all there is to it.